awesome. Okay guys, so the next Clash of Clans creative project is going to be the Barbarian King podium, plaque, stand, whatever you call it. And yeah, as you can see, I've got it drawn out on a piece of MDF. The thickness of the MDF is 1 centimetre. I've made it 15 centimetres square, and the step is 11 centimetres squared. So that gives it a 2 centimetre step, and I'm gonna paint it. And I did think about printing out the actual middle part with the crown on, but I decided I'm gonna do all that freehand, give it that extra special look. Also, I've drawn out, because you may have seen on the stand, plaque, podium thing, there is a 1 sword and 2 bones. There is one, I don't know if you can see that, there is one there on the side, but I decided to leave that out. So yeah, I looked online to get my reference images, and yeah, it's all drawn out, ready to be cut out. I did start to draw the sword on the MDF I was going to use for the podium, but decided that the thickness of the MDF is just too thick, so I got an old piece of off-cut plywood that's a bit thinner, and that's going to do perfect. And yeah, so next stage, cut this out and clean her up. So I'll get that done and I'll show you the results. Okay, so that's all the parts cut out with the scroll saw. So next stage is to give them a bit of a sand in, get all the rough edges off. As you can see, the little props I made, I'll just zoom in on that. Turned out reasonably well. Really quite happy with those. They're pretty awesome. And the bones certainly look like bones, and they are the right size. You can see in the reference images they're not perfectly square, and they are like brick slabs, if you like. And I will be rounding these off. As you can see, I've drawn them in there roughly, and I'll be cutting tiny little kinks out of here to represent each slab, and I've literally copied that off the reference image. So yeah, I sand these down, do a little bit more detail in cutting, rounding them off, getting the brick slabs in, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so that's all my parts all sanded up and filed. Giving it a bit more detail. As you can see, I've rounded off the edges, got the little kinks where the actual stone lines are. Once I paint the little lines in here to give it a good little effect. As you see, I've filed down the little sword there, giving a bit more detail. If I can just zoom in on that. And yeah, the little swords turned out really well. Also, I've done the bone. That bone's turned out pretty cool as well. All I basically used was these little files, and using those I'm able to do a little bit of finer detail. So next stage, I'm going to get these little parts painted. That's simple bone colour, kind of grey, lighter grey, kind of white. The sword is like a yellow and grey, and I'll glue this slab. Once that's dry, I'll paint that then, and literally get a bit of PVA glue, get that on there, and I'll clamp that down. And yeah, so I'll get on with that in a minute and I'll show you the results in a sec. Okay, so the platform should be dry by now. So I'll get those clamps off and I'll get that painted. As you can see, I painted the little parts that go on it, The little sword is looking awesome. And the bones, done those. So yeah, I'll get the clamps off and get that painted up, and I'll show you the results in a sec. Okay, so that's the main base painted up. You can see I went ahead and drawn the inner square. I'll paint that red with the gold crown on it in a second. Next stage will be to draw the lines. After I painted this, draw the lines for each slab. You can see I painted that. It's not part of the project. It's just something I like to do for each project. And yeah, so I'll get the red and gold crown on there. I'll get these glued on. I'll do the little lines for the brick slabs, and we should be completed. So I'll get that done and I'll show you the results in a sec. Okay, so I painted the red part. As you can see, I've sketched the crown on, and yeah, the next stage is to paint that, and we should be getting closer to finishing. And there we have it, the finished Barbarian King's platform, podium, stand, whatever you call it. As you see, I've painted it. I had a bit of trouble painting, doing it freehand. Thinking about it now, I wish I actually printed out this little red bit, but nevertheless I had fun actually painting it. I glued the little tiny props on, so they're all good. And yeah, it's turned out really good. I'm really pleased with it. I got myself a awesome Clash of Clans Barbarian King coaster. So I'm going to go have a cup of tea now, and I got something cool to put my cup of tea on. Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.